My name is Jesper Kyd. I'm a composer of music. I compose music for video games, film and TV. Well, I try to think as a gamer because I do feel I am a gamer. I started out playing video games very early on, and I started playing video games at the same time I started messing around with music on computers. I was 13 at the time when I got my first computer, Commodore 64, and video game playing and wanting to make music for games happened at the same time for me. I got into the demo scene when I was 13, and I didn't really know, obviously, what I was doing, and I wasn't trying to know what I was doing. I was just having fun. I loved games. I wanted to find out how do I start writing music for games. I loved the Commodore 64. I thought it had beautiful music. These days it's known as SID music. So I wrote like hundreds of tracks like that. But what came out of the demo scene, which is this underground movement of people that likes to program, likes to make music, likes to make graphics, but they're not making it for a game. They're making it out of pure joy, just because they can't not make it. And I think it was a very big influence on my music style, because nobody was telling me what to write. Nobody was saying, hey, this is not going to fit, because I wasn't hired by anyone. I was just doing it for myself. So I spent those 6-7 years just trying to find my own voice, not letting anyone influence what my own voice should be or how it should sound. And so when I started scoring games, I already had a foundation, you can say. And so that's the foundation I've been evolving since. I'm a big believer in hardware, first of all. There's something to be said for sitting with a mouse and doing all your mixing and all your writing. I think when you sit and you use, for example, an analog keyboard with lots of buttons on it, I can sit and tweak those buttons for like an hour, no problem. But when I sit with a mouse, it's like after 5-10 minutes, I'm totally done. That's it. It's time to move on to the next thing. And then I'm also a big fan of hardware from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. I don't mind a big analog keyboard from the 70s isn't mobile, as long as it gives me a sound that's thick and fat. That makes me happy. I was introduced to the first analog keyboard, and from the first time I played it, I was completely blown away of how different it sounded from all the other digital keyboards I've been playing. Each keyboard sounds a little different than the other one, but when you have keyboards that's been around for 30 or 40 years, they're all going to start sounding a little bit different because of the age. And so that's another thing that, you can have some of these keyboards and no two will sound alike. I think that's really cool. When I get hired on a project, and if it's a game or a film or a TV show, I always serve the story. That is where everything begins. It's great to get input about the story and trying to find out what's the game designer, what's the director, what's his vision, what's his ideas. And the more of a collaboration there is, the more precise the music will become for the project. I start to experiment, and I don't even think about tracks. I just think about experimentation, doing different things on different keyboards and playing around with the computer and seeing what comes out. And at some point, I find something, and then when I find that, it becomes interesting, and then you try to add structure to that. And once you have structure, you can flesh it out into an idea. And that idea is ready to be shared. That's usually how I go about my process. For Moon Legend, I worked on creating a fantasy score that had some unique and interesting elements, and I mixed that up with different music styles. It was definitely to create a fantasy score, but also stretch that to include other music styles as well. Infuse that with electronics. Live acoustic performances there's in there. Of course, the music is inspired by the world. It's a very epic world. It was pretty clear from the beginning that this was going to be some pretty big sounding music. I love playing the games and seeing how the music works, and also I have to do that because it's like a learning experience as well. When you play the game and you see how the music works and how it makes you feel, and I'm focusing on me as a gamer, what would I enjoy hearing when I'm playing this moment. That's where I keep it. I keep it grounded like that. You know, I feel very comfortable in that role because like all my friends are game developers, you know, programmers, graphic artists. These are the people I grew up with, and they've all gone on in life to become professional game developers. And I was part owner of a game company, so I feel very comfortable in that game environment. I have a lot of ideas. I love sharing those ideas. So I think it's just a lot of experience and basically finding out that there's no limit to what you can do.